Roy going down is kind of funny. I think this is before the don't test me era, because I guarantee you, if this poll was done today, Roy's like around DK.
I thought Roy would be at least a little higher.
Roy has terrible kill power. His aerials are all trash. Yeah, he's bad. Bad character. Hey, what's up, everybody? Today is a big day. We have a brand new tier list. Wow, I just looked at the camera. That was creepy. Brand new tier list
That PGstats did that just came out.
with like 60 top players contributing to it. What? That's like unheard of. But ESAM, iBDW, and I are gonna talk about it. We're gonna give you our thoughts. My thoughts are kind of rambly, I think. Just like this intro. There's a lot to question in this tier list. But there's one thing I don't question. This script is really funny. And that's telling you should subscribe to the Panda YouTube. Don't be some F tier loser. Hit the button. Subscribe. Smash that like button. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Subscribe. Yes, man. This is the 13th official tier list. My God. I like the S tier a lot. S tier is probably about what I would put it.
This is not really super surprising. Obviously, with Zane rising to prominence, Marth going up to number 2 is no surprise. With Fox just being as prevalent as he always has been, he is still right there. Puff, obviously, with HBox being number 1 for 3 years in a row, people are going to say the Puff's a lot better. And then Falco, representation kind of dwindling. A lot of Falcos falling off. Meng kind of the only one really holding it down. I don't think it matters where in the S tier you are. I think all these characters are equally viable. All of them have super good. All of them might need a secondary for like 1 or 2 matchups, but if you want to win every time, but they can all do the matchups at the top level.
Maybe I would put Falco above Puff, but that's just because I personally think Falco lasers are incredible, and I was never good at power shielding, so that's probably a big part of it.
Fox being the best character that he is, you know, he's really good. He has probably a losing matchup against Marth, which is whatever, it's fine. He's winning against Jigglypuff, which is fine. He's even-ish with Falco. I'm not sure about that one. He's like maybe winning or losing. I don't know, man. I think he's solidly winning versus Sheik, solidly winning versus Falcon. He's okay. He's like good against Peach. Pretty much everybody down here is like losing to Fox. His matchup spread is great versus everybody except for these 2 characters, in my opinion. So that makes him like number 1 or 2. He's really broken. Really good, top tier. Marth, I think he beats Fox. The FD counter pick is pretty rough for Fox. Marth almost gets a free win there. Everybody knows that. Marth is like good versus Puff. This is a weirder one. I don't see it too often. It's hard to say if we've ever seen like a really good Puff versus Marth. Like Hungrybox is very good at the game, but I don't think he was very used to fighting Marth. I think he's used to fighting like pretty free Marths. And then he ran into Zane, who actually practiced like kill setups. So Marth probably beats Puff too. I think Marth beats Falco, but I'm not like an expert in this matchup by any means. Marth versus Sheik is a weird one. I want to say it's even. It's more of a stage thing as well. But yeah, this is probably Marth's hardest matchup that's not Marth. So yeah, that's why you see all the Fox players switching to Sheik and complaining and saying, oh, blah, 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 this is the worst matchup ever, I can't do it.
Yes, I know there's going to be a bunch of people talking about how I switched off of Fox for Sheik for Marth. That's only because of the stage list, more so than anything else.
Marth is okay-ish versus Captain Falcon. I think Marth beats Falcon, personally. Yeah, I think Marth solidly beats Peach. I think Marth solidly beats Ice Climbers. I think Marth... The reason Axe is like so good versus Zane right now, the reason why I think people think generally Pikachu is good versus Marth, is that Marth is so good at edge guarding. And Marth is really good at just comboing in general. Like, he has really broken combos. And he can't do either of those too well versus Pikachu. And Pikachu has the speed to get in on Marth randomly. Like, in my heart of hearts, I feel like Marth wins. Because he can outrange and just slowly but surely grind Pikachu down. I think Marth beats Yoshi. Marth versus Samus. I don't think Samus wins at all. I don't think Marth loses to any of these characters down here at all. Marth crushes them. I like where Puff is. Number 3 is fine for Puff.
Puff is very good and believe it or not, very underdeveloped. There's a lot of stuff with Puff that people just aren't doing yet that is very scary to potentially deal with.
She's not that great versus Fox. Not too great versus Marth. I think she beats Falco a little bit. When Puff is able to like lock somebody down and lock their movement down, her back air becomes immensely better. It's like so much better, and Falco can't really mix up his movement as well. She has some nonsense on Falco. Falco can still play his stupid oppressive neutral game and beat out Puff. I'm not saying this matchup's like too bad for Falco at all. Probably like slightly Puff favored, but yeah. I think she is good versus Sheik, quite good. Puff versus Falcon. This is weirder because Falcon has pretty solid kill confirms on Puff. Puff is just generally way more threatened by Falcon than she is by Sheik. Just way more. It's a weirder one. It might even be Falcon winning. It's hard to say. Puff versus Peach. I think Puff wins pretty solidly. I know Laud beat Hungrybox, but I don't think it's that good of a matchup still. I think Puff solidly beats Ice Climbers, and Pikachu, God, he just does nothing to Puff. He has such a hard time racking up damage. Puff versus Yoshi. That is a weird one, because Puff has a really hard time edgeguarding Yoshi. Yoshi just double jumps, and Puff just has to hold that. She just watches him double jump. I would say this matchup's like slightly... whatever. Slightly Puff favored, but not incredibly. Puff beats Samus solidly. Puff versus these characters. I feel like everybody below Samus is just kind of whatever. I like ignoring them. They suck. Falco.
There's two versions of Falco. There's a version of Falco that's the 5th best character in the game, and that is literally the easiest thing in the game you can play. It's the easiest character, it's super brain dead, you don't have to have any skill to do it, legitimately. But then there's a version of Falco that is up here with Fox and Marth. And that Falco is really hard to play, and a lot of people try to play that version of Falco and just give up. And understandably, it's extremely complicated, extremely high execution.
I like where Falco is. Okay-ish versus Fox. I think he loses to Marth. I think he's not good enough versus Fox to like be bumped up any higher. I think he loses to Puff. I think Falco has a harder time versus Sheik than any of the other characters above him, which is a big deal. That's why I think Falco should be 4. That solidly puts him there. And Falco's good versus Falcon. He's pretty good versus Peach. Probably not like fantastic, but I think he solidly beats Peach. Falco versus Ices. I think Falco solidly beats them. I think Falco solidly beats Pikachu. Poor Pikachu. He has like a rough matchup spread here. Falco versus Yoshi. I think he solidly beats Yoshi. Falco versus Samus. I think he solidly beats Samus. Samus is such a weird character, man. It's just one of those matchups where I think Falco should never lose, but I see why they lose because Samus gets so many chances to hit him and get him off stage. He solidly beats all these low tiers. Falco just actually invalidates so many of them. It's so one-sided. Sheik belongs here. Pretty good spot for her.
Sheik, I think, actually has a lot of potential to just be outright S tier. I'm a big Sheik believer, and I think that she has absolutely the potential to be up here with all of these characters. But I understand why people put her down here, especially because she hasn't had results recently. And historically, Sheiks have switched off for Foxes a decent amount. They switched off for Puff. They switched off for Ice Climbers. So I get it.
She beats Falcon-ish. It's close. Her ground moves are better. Her grab game is like almost as good as Falcon's, maybe a little worse, but the fact that she has like a forward tilt that can knock down, her forward is much quicker, Nair is much quicker, she has Nair and Shield. Falcon doesn't really have a non-shield game. She just has a little bit more options to edge Falcon out. Sheik versus Peach is good. It's not the greatest. I'd say she beats Peach about the same level as she beats Falcon, just like a little bit better. Sheik versus Ice Climbers, I don't think this matchup's that great. I don't think she's losing too hard versus Ice Climbers, but maybe just a little bit. I think Sheik beats Pikachu pretty solidly. She has really good grab game on him. She can actually edge guard Pikachu pretty well. Sheik versus Yoshi, Sheik beats Yoshi really solidly. Really good grab game on Yoshi too. Sheik versus Samus, I think Sheik wins pretty solidly. In general, she shouldn't lose these matchups. Falcon, good spot for him too. Damn, I just agree with this entire tier list in general. Falcon, I like where he is. Good spot.
I'm happy that he's finally gotten a decent spot on the tier list because it's kind of absurd that people have had him so low for so long, because you just look at how fast of a character he is, how good his hitboxes are, how good his conversions are. All his airs lead to each other. You know the term air wobbling, it's very apt. So nice to see that he's actually super high up.
So he's actually winning versus Peach in my opinion, which is why Peach is below him. He's not the worst versus Fox. which is why I think he's also pretty good. Yeah, he actually has a pretty good, decent matchup spread. He's good versus Ices. He's pretty good versus Pikachu. Peach belongs there. I think she pretty solidly loses to everybody above her, and actually she's just pretty solid versus everybody below her. Like, honestly, she just solidly beats everybody below her. There's not much else to say. I can't even think of a character that like does that well versus Peach down here. Ices, they belong in 8th. They have too many hard matchups in the high tiers. They have solid tools. It's just without wobbling, I feel like people just gave up. But the characters are still good.
When I played a bunch of Ice Climbers, especially when wobbling was on, every Ice Climber had their own trick. I haven't seen someone come along who's been able to combine like all those tools from different Ice Climbers. And so, for me personally at least, Ice Climbers is the character with by far the most potential to rise.
Pikachu's good where he is, I think. Honestly, I think Pikachu might be one spot too high. Maybe I'd put him below Yoshi. Yoshi, I was pretty much the same thing with Pikachu. Like he belongs at the 9 and 10 spot. Not that great versus everybody above him. Samus, like I was saying, she's a weird character.
I agree with that. I think that Samus is definitely the top of unviable or the bottom of viable, and it looks more like the bottom of what, in my opinion, would be viable, which is B+ tier.
Ganondorf, does Ganondorf belong up here? Is this fair? Is this right? I think Ganondorf is worse than Mario, worse than Donkey Kong. I think he's worse than Young Link. I think he's worse than Link too. Ganondorf sucks, I'm sorry.
Roy going down is kind of funny. I think this is before the Don't Test Me era, because I guarantee you, if this poll was done today, Roy is like around DK. Based on community perception, not based on how good I think they are. I think Roy is pretty convincingly around here.
Lower? After how Zane's been beating people with Roy, I don't know if that's just more of a Zane thing or if it means that Roy's not that bad, but I thought Roy would be at least a little higher.
Roy has terrible kill power. His aerials are all trash. Yeah, he's bad. Bad character.